Our criminal justice system is out of control. The United States has 5 times as many prisoners per capita than any other developed country on the planet. That means that we have 5 times more prisoners than totalitarian countries like China, Russia, and North Korea. More than 85% of American prisoners had no victim and are simply imprisoned, their lives destroyed for behavioral laws such as drug possession. That's not 1 or 2, that's 85% of the prison population had no victim whatsoever. The United States is the imprisonment capital of the world. This makes a shameful mockery of what calls itself a free country. Of course, some of the blame goes to the prison industrial complex and a misguided law and order zeal by our bellicose politicians. But there's another reason that imprisonment is gone rampant. If you have ever served on a jury, you might have convicted a person who never harmed anyone. You might have listened to the prosecutor tell you how evil that drunk driver or drug user was. And then you decided to enrich the prison system and pack the prisons even more with someone who was not truly a criminal, even though they may have behaved badly. The traditional legal definition of a criminal is someone who has caused damage or injury, and either by intention or gross negligence intended to commit that injury or damage. There had to be a victim, and the victim had to swear to the injury. Of course, courts are bypassing all of that now. They're prosecuting people who have not harmed anyone, and they're doing that without any sworn complaint from any victim. They are prosecuting and imprisoning people for bad behavior. Yes, that is based on laws which have been written to punish people for anything society has decided is bad or risky behavior. Maybe you think punishing people for bad behavior is a good idea. That may be a good idea for children who must be taught some common sense. But when you put behavioral standards on adults and constantly expand those standards and enforcements every year, year after year, you wind up with a massive prison population of people whose lives have been unjustly destroyed and who can no longer contribute to the workforce and the economic prosperity of society, much less the well-being of their families. You only benefit the prison complex profiteers and corrupt justice system. You haven't provided remedy to any victims because there are no victims. The courts love to punish victimless offenses because they can keep all the penalties and fines, and they don't have to pass those revenues on to victims. I was personally reminded of the problem recently when I was pulled over by a deputy sheriff on a motorcycle. He did not tell me why he stopped me. I handed him a reservation of rights printed on a small slip of paper. He asked me for my driver's license. Since I had just reserved my rights, and I did not want to waive them, I asked the sheriff if the information on my driver's license could be used to incriminate me in a court of law. He started screaming at me, and I calmly pointed out that he was belligerent. He became silent, and I asked him once more if my driver's license could be used to incriminate me. Without answering my question, and without any further conversation, less than 2 minutes after I stopped my car, the sheriff arrested me, put me in handcuffs, put me in a patrol car, and proceeded to impound my car for simply asking him a question. I'm not exaggerating. I was arrested for asking a question regarding my legal rights when the sheriff asked for my license, and before the sheriff had established his jurisdiction by stating the purpose of his traffic stop. He accused me of failing to provide my driver's license when he had no right to ask for it. In California, a law enforcement officer does not have authority to demand your driver's license unless he is enforcing the vehicle code. This sheriff did not tell me why he was stopping me, and I had no legal obligation to provide my driver's license, although I would have given it to him eventually anyway. It was pure incompetence on the part of the sheriff, who simply failed to inform me of the reason for his traffic stop. He then compounded his error by arresting me under false charges. This could not be more obviously an unlawful arrest, yet it will be me, not the sheriff deputy, before a court defending what I did. I have no criminal record, no prior arrests, no warrants. I have my driver's license, my insurance, my registration all up to date. I do not fit the profile of a criminal in any way. I did not provoke or become belligerent to the sheriff at any time. I was put in handcuffs, put in a patrol car, and watched the sheriff call a tow truck and impound my vehicle, which later cost me over $500 to recover. Our peace officers are now encouraged by our system to escalate in this way on every citizen, innocent or not. Our courts, judges, lawyers, and prisons are profiting from this misconduct on the part of law enforcement. They are protecting no one. They are only generating revenues by official extortion. It is a problem that has gone way out of hand. Since I've been charged with a criminal offense, not an infraction, I plan to opt for a jury trial, and I wonder what will happen if you wind up on my jury. Do you understand the term jury nullification? That means that a jury may nullify the law by refusing to convict. Would you understand your authority to do that if conviction seems unjust or excessive to you? Do you know that as a jurist you can never be forced to rule in favor of the law, and that you are entitled to vote your conscience? Do you know that judges routinely give inappropriate and unlawful instructions to jurists that they must rule as the court wishes or as the law says? Do you know that courts and judges profit from convictions, and that they have a horrible conflict of interest by profiting that way? Will you, as a jurist, come into my criminal trial without any legal or constitutional knowledge and believe everything the judge and court employees tell you? If you do that, you will be denying me or some other defendant their liberty, property, and rights. If you do that, you will be failing to exercise the duty of a jurist to override the system if the system is unjust. If the law were the only thing that mattered, there would not be a jury system. The judge and the lawyers are experts in the law. The jurists are not. The law is not what the jurists are there for. Justice, fairness, and conscience are what the jury is there for. Our forefathers knew that laws, judges, and the court system could all be corrupted. They knew that if they did not give the jury the final and ultimate authority to determine guilt and innocence, that our system would become a tyranny for those who would profit from criminalization of citizens. And that is exactly what we have now. Our jury system is literally our last and only chance to truly control how cruel and inhumane or how righteous and well our justice system performs for us. The jury system may be your only chance of winning when some police officer escalates on you, when the court ramrods you without due process, when you have committed no harm, caused no victim, but you find that our greedy, corrupt justice system has entrapped you in allegations of behavioral misconduct, as it has me. The jury is the one and only antidote to what our government and justice system has become and what it might do to you. If you are called to jury, consider that a rare and amazing opportunity to tell our corrupt system that we will not allow the injustice. That if someone caused no harm and has no victim, that you will not bring a guilty verdict that would stigmatize that individual for life. Behavior alone is not enough to deny a person property, rights, and liberty. Behavior alone is not a crime. There must be a victim, there must be damage, and there must be the intention to cause that damage. If you declare someone guilty and allow the state to destroy that person's life over mere allegations of behavioral misconduct, you will be living in a state where jurists will do that to you. And courts, judges, police, and lawyers will all profit from doing that to you. There will be no safety net, no second chance, no sympathy, no deliverance. As a jurist, your conscience and reason may be the only conscience and reason in the entire courtroom. That is why you are there as a jurist, to exercise that conscience and reason. You are there to cancel, to nullify the corruption, the conflicts of interest, and even the law, so that you and I and all Americans need not live in fear of tyranny, injustice, and the capricious criminalization that our public servants these days seem so eager to commit. When prosecutions are petty, when no harm has been done, do not convict. Do not find criminal guilt where there is none. Protect your community, your neighbors, and yourself from the injustices that represent nothing more than a cash cow for desperate, corrupt, and greedy public agencies. This may not be easy or natural for you. You may be dismissing drug possession, or speeding, or some other behavior you find offensive or risky. But when we allow people to be criminalized for nothing more than poor behavior, then government has an unlimited opportunity to prosecute literally everyone. Imagine if every time you took a risk, you were prosecuted, punished, and branded a criminal. We may as well say that government should criminalize all of society all of the time. If you step into a courtroom and convict someone who has harmed no one, that will be on your conscience for the rest of your life. You may think it is the right thing to do at the time. You may not think of the impact that will have on a person's life, their family, and community. You might think it is empowering to get even with someone who is, in your view, socially undesirable. So you'll prevent that person from contributing to society in any way. You'll turn someone permanently into a criminal, and that information will go to every potential employer and law enforcement officer in the country. You decided to let the judge or some lawyer pressure you to convict. You contributed to the criminalization for profit system, and someday you will realize you made a wrong decision, and it was you, not the defendant, who committed the actual harm and damage. To protect the rights of a simple, hapless defendant, someone who may not be appealing or attractive in any way, but who is being railroaded by a massive, powerful system, takes strength and conviction on the part of the jurist. To make sure that if something is punished, it really is a crime and not just behavior. To protect that defendant's rights and at the same time protect your own rights. Our police, our justice system, our prison complex are out of control. Millions of jurists have fallen for the rhetoric and have packed our prisons with millions of harmless defendants. Conviction for a harmless behavioral offense is a black mark on a human life, no different than a conviction for a destructive and violent offense. Prison is prison. Conviction is a conviction. And once you have been convicted, your life will never be the same. The jury system, is all we have left to turn this around.